Hello, dear starshines. Welcome to, we're foggy. Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay. Hello, dear starshines. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. I'm Christina with Rise of the Multidimensional Human and the Lightbody Academy. We are here to talk about issues and topics important for us new paradigm way showers, starseeds, visionaries. These are where I share a liberated perspective on the topics, issues, and challenges that we face on a daily basis. So welcome everybody to the conversation. I know I'm a minute late, so I'll give everybody a second to regroup and join in when they're ready. There's a lot going on in my life right now, and there's a lot going on for everybody, right? So I just want to put my finger on that because I did not cultivate the topics like I normally do. Right now I have, we're putting our house up for sale today. It started today, and we already have the last count was 36 people within the first hour of it listing, booking their time. So we're kind of scrambling and getting everything ready. And I'm trying to, hold space for the chats and what we're talking about. And there's a lot of energy going on. So even just holding the space for the energy is taking up bandwidth. So we're going to talk free flow today. There's a lot of issues that have been brought to me via the personal chats, which can get us started. And I'm happy to do that. And I'll pause right now and say hello to the dear starshines joining us. Hello, dear sister Hodai and Carol and Nancy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I went on a bit of a rant the other day, and I really appreciate you guys and your chiming in. I felt very reassured that I'm not the only one that's seeing this going on. Those of us who are new paradigm visionaries and are walking that energy very often, we feel like we're the only ones that see things in a particular way, and just having a community of people to connect with and share these ideas and not have them received in a way that's super hostile is really, really great. And not only super hostile, but I'm talking about you guys completely resonate with what I was talking about, and the compassion, the capacity for the compassion that this group has is just astounding. Really, so many of you just do your thing, even if you're the only one doing it, and really bring your heart's truth forward to the community at large. And I'm very touched by that. So thank you for being here and sharing a community with me. It's my honor to have you guys here together. And the fact that I get to speak with you guys every week is really something special. Hello, dear sister, Facebook user. I'm saying sister, I'm assuming, sorry. You could be a brother. Let me know. You can tell me your name if you want. Dear sister Carol says, the rant was great. I shared it with my husband. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So, for sensitives, it's scary to come out with stuff, because when people are reacting, even if it's a video, as a multidimensional being, we sense on many levels of ourselves. And, there's when people have hostile reactions or are really angry and blamey about what was said, we feel it. Because, as you guys, I've talked about in the past that, I don't shield. Shielding is not part of the paradigm that I participate in, or the need to shielding is not part of the paradigm that I participate in. So it's I'm fully in flow with the different things that are going on a collective level in response to the things I put out here, So in a lot of ways, I guess you can say I'm bare naked most of the time, which the benefit of that is the fact that that sensitivity gives me a lot more data, gives me a lot more pieces to work with when I'm working with energies. I'm coming forward with the intention of truly seeing things as they are, not how I think they should be. And it requires vulnerability, requires being, naked, like I said, to be open to those things that aren't quite the way I would like them to be, or aren't in alignment with my particular belief system. The work we do in the academy is really, that's part of the intention, is being able to strip away the blind spots of what we think is or should, or, our our belief systems that have been cultivated over many, many eons in our Akashic field, or in the systems that we've inherited from our ancestors, all of those things creating nesting dolls, create our perception of the here and now. And most of the time, the perception that we have of the here and now is not truly how it is. It's how it's really through the lenses of the momentum that we've inherited from these other levels. So when we're doing this work in the academy, it's a gradual progression. It's not about hitting it hard and causing walking a path of pain. It's really about just being accepting, and in that acceptance of truth and with that compassion, you can move forward gently, understanding that yes, you are an infinite being in a human body, but yes, yet you are in an ocean of humanness. And it's all okay. Everything how it happens the way it needs to for you. So there's a lot of patience, there's a lot of understanding, there's a lot of compassion that's required for unraveling these blind spots. Because when we sit in judgment about stuff, we hold this charge, and it keeps us blind, or it keeps us shut down, because the true nature of who we are is so sensitive, is so like childlike. And I don't mean childish, but I mean like innocent and pure and childlike, that the slightest little aggression or judgment often will cause that aspect of ourselves to hide and go deep. And then you're no longer talking with that part of the essence anymore. You're now talking to ego driver, so that acceptance piece is really, really important for us to navigate this world that we're moving into. And really, we are moving into a new world. All right, dear Sister Hodai says, you are living in your authenticity. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Thank you for that. All right, so let me talk about these nesting dolls. So I went on my rant, and I had a dear Sister Starshine message me. Actually, I had a few message me, but hold on, let me get a better angle in my seat here. And she shared with me some of the struggles, the challenges that she is standing up to in her world. And yeah, dear sister, you know who you are. So I get many messages, and sometimes, I engage in different levels depending on the vibration of what's being sent to me. And really, the kinds of shenanigans going on in the world today is facilitating a lot of humans being justified in, being really unkind to each other. Not that I'm saying anybody here was being unkind, but I'm talking about us and our sovereignty. We're navigating the best that we can. And a lot of the things that we are having to face is not gentle. It's not kind. It's actually very scary. And many of us have to go through these triggers that happen when we are met with hostility or aggression or adversarialness, even, straight up abusive, verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, people who are really deep into the mask shaming program. That's mental emotional abuse. It's being inflicted on other people. And the interesting thing about this program is that no one is really in agreement of where the lines are and what the structure is. There's the releasing from the government of the guidelines, but then people put their own ideas and projection into what they think those guidelines should be. So we have people riding here in the mountains. I live in altitude, guys. So it's air is thin here, but I see people riding their street bikes, going uphill you're above 7,000 feet uphill in masks or in double masks. And I'm just like, I have no idea how that person is navigating that. How are they doing that? It's amazing to me. These really intense workouts that people are putting themselves through, and they feel that the mask mandate means that they need, even though they're outside on a side of the street, no one around going uphill, that's still something that's necessary. And then because that disagreement is there, and they go through all that, then there's this upset that happens when they see other bikers maybe on the other side of the street not doing that, and so no one's really agreeing, and everybody is being pretty passive aggressive, unkind to each other. And you know, this is a symptom of the program. This is the symptom of the fear mongering. You know, people really want to do well, but they don't understand what that really is, because they're not referencing inside what that is. They're referencing the rhetoric out here of what that is, you know. And actually, let me start doing some of these nesting dolls, because I didn't finish telling the story about our dear Starshine facing her opposition. So she's facing pretty significant opposition. It really has to do with wearing masks and the being an exempt person according to the guidelines. And you know, bravo, dear sister, for being strong and staying in your sovereignty and choosing to face that structure and see it through. So what she is doing is staying inside and staying within her energy, but addressing them with the language that they know, which is the language of the law. And this is a lot of people, I know a lot of people that would not choose that route. They would just say, see ya, I don't want this job anyway. You know, which, you know, I'm right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's more about what is important for you, what's true for you. And this, you know, I really try to stay out of the argument either way, because I feel like either way, there's a lot to be learned in the whole thing. You know, in one way, it's really beautiful that humans really truly do want to care for other humans. You know, even if it is a bit misguided and it caused them to do things that cause harm or hostile or hold hostility. You know, and the same thing with the people on the other side of the fence. They're doing this because they believe they're serving humanity in the way that they are doing, you know, what their choices and how they're guiding it, right? So it's like this, the principle is the same for both people. It's just the way they execute it is completely different. They have very different ideas about things. So and that dynamic has been leveraged by the different political systems. And so they can, you know, divide people and create such a hostile environment that people really aren't communicating and people are willing to diminish others, you know. And something that in that argument, in that discussion that she brought forward, she said something that really stuck out as a red flag for me. And that is her one of her recourses is to create a community of people where she's revealing the truth about certain therapy, a particular therapy she knows about with COVID, because it was something that treated her. And but the people associated with this group are considered Trumpers, even though it's really about, you know, health freedom, you know, and that struck me because I experienced that same thing. It's like there's a lot of sovereignty pieces that I really, really resonate with and speak out to with others, both, you know, openly and privately. And when I do it openly with a group of people that I don't know, they pretty quickly assume that I'm a Trumper because of the sovereignty narrative that I'm talking about. And I feel like that whole dynamic is part of the controlled opposition. It's like there's a reason why I feel like it's been engineered. So the people who really want to stand up for freedom of speech, freedom from censorship, right? Freedom from being spied on, freedom of choice in your health choices, freedom to exercise, you know, the way you want to live, and associating that with such a polarized and controversial figure. So if what you think and what you believe in resembles any way, shape, or form something that has come out of his mouth, people are instantly no longer listening. They are just deeming you as a Trumper, and end of conversation. You know, it's now a hostile exchange from that point, usually. You know, so there's a couple people in here that you know, that still accuse me of supporting racism and stuff like that, because I'm not within the narrative, you know. But you know, they're trying to stay open, and I can respect that. So the dynamics going on here, this is 4D leveraging. This is influencing the collective to be reactive instead of observing and engaging. So like I said, Dear Starshine decided that she was going to face that 4D affront in the way, in with the tools that she has, in which case it's the legal process and the law and stuff like that. Not all of us are able to or want to engage with opposition like this, things that threaten their, or, you know, try to impose their ideas upon our sovereignty, you know. So I want to talk about the things that we could be doing. And guys, if there's questions and things that come up for you, definitely please put them in the comments so I can address them. There are things that we could be doing that is maybe not necessarily in facing that 4D affront, but we can address things in other levels. See, some of us are very, very sensitive, and we're not really able to meet the 4D aggression on that level. It's like there's something within us, whatever reason, it doesn't matter. It's just not a place that we want to be or care to be. But it doesn't mean that you need to go hide in a hole or hide in a mountain somewhere. There's lots that you could be doing to help feed the resonance in the direction towards freedom and sovereignty that is not necessarily on the confrontive side of that 4D field. So I want to talk about that, because this is, you know, one of the big things with empowering yourself through dream time is understanding that the unseen subtle realms have that influence on our here and now. So I talk about those nesting dolls. Reality is a nesting doll, lots of nesting dolls within each other. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the outer nesting doll. There's other nesting dolls out, but we're gonna start the outer nesting doll with that 9D lens of our perception and connection to the galactic mind. So this outer nesting doll is the Milky Way, the actual conscious being of the Milky Way. All right, the Milky Way is a personified for many by the Kuan Yin energy. Kuan Yin energy is the holder of infinite love and compassion. She comes from, well, she exists in many different cultures of the world, but most people associate it with the Asian, with the Asian tradition. So in the Chinese mystery schools, it's Kuan Yin or Guan Yin. In Tibetan, it's the white Tara. In all these different sects, there's all these versions, but it's all the same kind of consciousness, which is the Kuan Yin, Guan Yin energy, white Tara energy, mother goddess energy, the mother of God type energy. And this is what I am calling the galactic mind. When you are opened up to the galactic mind, you are opened up to that infinite resource within you that informs you on a very deep subconscious level with love and compassion for being, for life, for nature, for all beings. Okay. So there's that we're going to start with that as the outer nesting doll. And then within that nesting doll is the all that is consciousness, what we consider God, the breath that breathes through all things. Let me shut this off so it's not clicking. Okay. And this nesting doll is significant because this is how we perceive and experience everything that is, that interconnectedness, that we are all one unit. We are all one being. And then we have the word has been spoken, the word of God, the sound of who you are, the tone, your soul song. That's also sound vibration, that realm. So from the separation from source, as a thought form, intention, whatever you want to call that, separates from source, it separates as a tone. Okay, the word's been spoken, like that. And then the next nesting doll is that sound tone coming through the density, and as it comes through density and starts to become more and more dense and coalesce into the next stage, that's where sound creates shape. Sound creates light shape. Plato theorized that all matter has a light geometry behind it, and that light geometry informs the formation of how the molecules, atoms and molecules, come together and how the cells form, if it's going to have a cellular exist kind of thing. All of that is within the light geometry, which is the light body. Some people will call it soul blueprint, stuff like this. And then from that blueprint of your unfoldment, you have the Akasha, the perception of the soul's journey. This is you as a being of free will exploring all the different expressions of that blueprint, of the potential within the blueprint. And then we have from there, so that soul, I'm skipping over that soul thing. That soul Akashic level is who you are beyond this face. This is who you are when you're not walking around in a biosuit, who you are when you are in the realms, upper realms of the other side. Okay, so this is the being that is you, that has known many faces, who has lived many lives, who has been on many planets, have had many existences. Okay, this is that part of you that still has still is in touch with all these different experiences, and has accumulated learning and wisdom and jewels of knowledge, right, through these experiences, and all of this is in the records. And then we have that collective field, that 4D field. That's all the thoughts and emotions of the collective energy. The planets are also included in here in the collective energy. This is where a lot of where you can bring astrology into the conversation, because each of the planets have their own identity. They have their own energy that they hold. They have their own energy that they're weaving into the solar ring collective. So when planets are in certain kind of relationship to Earth, we experience it in a certain way, in a certain pattern, okay, that's recognizable, and people can touch it. So the planetary energies contribute into this collective experience. And the example, I guess what I want to share is the example that I give a lot is the Shoemaker-Levy comet striking Jupiter. Jupiter is the holder of the mystery schools. It is the holder of the occult, that which is secret. And on this planet, it was the lineages and the mystery schools that had a total lockdown on all the teachings of awakened human being, of a multidimensionally activated being. And you had to be in that lineage or in a mystery school in order to have those initiations, those encodements, those teachings, in order to open up to those levels of who you are as an awakened human being, as a God man in a biosuit, right? So this is where we have beings like Siddhartha, we have beings like Christ, we have all sorts of ascended masters and stuff like this. They have all been awoke, because by working with these different teachings, and they all, of course, introduced or brought in their own flavors of the teachings. Ramtha the Ram is a great example. Okay, so Jupiter was the holder of that kind of consciousness, but then the Shoemaker-Levy comet struck Jupiter, and it forever altered the face of Jupiter. I mean, imagine if you took all of the nuclear warheads on this planet, times it by 1,000, and dropped it on Jupiter. That's the impact that Shoemaker-Levy comet had. So it literally blew open the field of Jupiter, and all of those mystery school teachings can no longer be held, and they went out into the cosmic winds, which now means that the beings that have a resonance match for those kinds of teachings can have access to it without the initiations, without being part of the mystery school, okay, without being in the lineage. So this was the dawning of the shifting into the new paradigm, that moment, that event. And Jupiter changed its relationship in its existence, and in that change of existence, it impacted the collective and what was possible and the potentials. And then we have our 3D realm, which is space, right? And then we have our I'm gonna draw the inner planes differently. Then we have our telluric realm, and then we have our Pachamama. Okay, and this right here, 3D telluric realm Pachamama. Make this symbol a little bit bigger so you can recognize it. You guys recognize that symbol? Okay, this is the here and now. That here and now moment is the innermost nesting doll. That here and now moment, and sometimes it's even depicted like this. That here and now moment is a culmination of all these nesting dolls put together that create the here and now. Now, the next immediate nesting doll is the collective field. And let's see, how do I want to make the collective field? We'll make swirlies for the collective field. This field right there. So the laws, the government constructs, the corporate constructs, the structures of religion, the structures of belief systems, the ways in which our society works. Like you get born, you get a birth certificate, the birth certificate goes into a system, and now that system has energetic ties to you. You know, that is all within the collective field. That's all within this 4D field. So that right now is a battle zone. People aren't in agreement. People feel disempowered. People feel enslaved. You know, all these things are going on. Now, the engineering of the shutting down of humanity is dependent upon us draining our will and our life force energy and engaging in the conflicts of that 4D field, okay? Not that if you're engaging, you're draining your energy. I'm not saying that. When you're doing it purposefully, it's a very powerful level to be working on. But for those of us who don't necessarily feel inclined, you know, this is what I want to address. The answer doesn't have to be, you know, stay alone in the mountain or be in a secluded off-grid society, though that might be really attractive to us and we might just do that, right? So I'm not saying there's any right, wrong, good or bad here. I'm just trying to explain that there's other ways besides that intensity in the 4D field. For us sensitives, that sometimes that's, you know, really not the place for us. And we'll know it's not the place for us because when something happens, we won't be able to shake it, or we'll re-traumatize ourselves, or, you know, it will start getting deep into the disempowerment, helpless mode. So those are indications that we're losing our energy to this field. So the other thing, so where we have empowerment that is a much more, I don't want to say easy because it's not, we have to get over who we think we are and the face and our stories and all that stuff. But as you unravel the attachment to who you think you are when you look into the mirror, as you unravel that attachment, you start waking up to who you are on a bigger level. So when you're looking at your eyes in the mirror, you can actually see many faces, okay, that have had those eyes. That's when you're opening up to other kinds of identities, and you're opening the scope of who you really are. You're opening your mental field, your perceptions, your ego driver to other levels of your existence. Okay, so once you start doing those sorts of things, you have direct conscious access to these other nesting dolls of reality. And if you shift something in any of these nesting dolls, it's going to shift things in the here and now. The issue is that we have to, A, be willing to let go of who we think we are and see things in another way in these levels beyond our belief systems. B, we have to be able to let the reality be so that there are lies that we even tell ourselves. There are secrets that we even keep from ourselves, which means there's agreements that are way off over here somewhere that are kept secret from us. We don't know until we do, of course. The more you have more past life recall, the more access you're going to have to those kinds of constructs that are in existence in these other levels that are affecting your here and now. And this is something that, you know, there's other people on this planet that have done this work, but this is what's necessary for a contractor agreement to truly be done. It's not done just because you said it was done. Just because your ego driver opened up sacred space, created a hyperdimensional field, and declared something to be done, that does not mean that it's done. I know that totally goes against so many belief systems and teachings. What makes something done is when you can find that aspect of yourself, and you have to be willing to see this, when you can find that aspect of yourself that willingly and lovingly went into the agreement to create that experience. When you can find that part of yourself that willingly and lovingly put yourself through that experience and talk to it and connect with it, that is the level that you have to address for it truly to be full circle, okay? Once it's full circle, and once you're connected with that part of who you are, it's not, oh, I command, or, you know, there's no blame. It is a love connection. You are in full oneness perception with that aspect. And you can tell that aspect, dearly beloved, the mission was successful. The contract is complete. And these aren't words. So once you say that, you're actually transmitting the truth of what that is from your spirit to that other aspect of your spirit. And only once the jewels of knowledge have been exchanged and you guys are both feeling that resonance truth of, yes, this agreement is complete. Then in unison, you guys are freeing each other and dissolving the agreement. That is when it's full circle. That is when it's complete. Okay. And that is not an act of the ego driver. The ego driver could be present. The ego driver could be part of the equation of creating it, creating that moment, but it's a dialogue between with your spirit. Okay. And this is important because there's so many people that I know that say, oh, I've canceled that contract, that I've done that agreement. They're like, check, done, off the list. But yeah, it still comes back, and they can't actually accept the data sets of what's coming back for what it truly is, because they don't want to entertain. They don't want to feel like they're in doubt of what was done as being complete. But see, that's a blind spot. If you've done something and it's still coming, that means there's something else. There's something else that needs to happen. It doesn't mean that you're powerless and what you did didn't work. It means that there's more. There's more to be acknowledged. There's more to be discovered. There's more. Okay. So this kind of engagement is absolutely has a direct impact on those here and now experiences. I mean, and I have decades worth of experiences to reference for. So for me, it's absolutely true. This includes dealing with trauma, with illness, with death and dying, like, things that are really, really significant in the human experience. This is how I'm able to come at peace with. This is why I have a different kind of relationship with death, actually, because I've been able to engage on these other levels. In that rant that I went on yesterday, I referenced that moment with my mom, like when I was praying for her to live, but then I realized she was telling me this was her exit point to die. So I changed my prayer to liberate her. The part of that story that I left out, which is why I know so absolutely she became liberated, was because she returned the favor. Okay. I felt this happen in the moment of the whole thing. So she passed and left her body. I actually saw her essence leave her body, and I thought everybody saw it at the time. I was so in the moment, I didn't even recognize that other people weren't having this experience. And I was like, oh, and meanwhile, I'm looking at this essence is filling the room, and everybody's focused on the body. Is she dead yet? That kind of thing. And I'm like, here she is, guys. Yeah, she's done, right? But anyway, during the process, there was a snowstorm that came, and everybody was stranded at the house. And the people, because the snowstorm came out of nowhere, it was, beautiful sunny day, and then we got 3 feet of snow in like a half a day, right? So the funeral people couldn't come and get the body, so we were all in this house. There was about 20 of us in this house, with her in her essence, basking. And there was a moment where in conversation that I had, where I recognized that I was no longer confined by any of the patterns specifically that she had to do with implanting within me. I knew in that moment, I can't even explain it, there was no logic. I knew that I was liberated from that. I was liberated from the family story, and I was liberated from having to play the roles. Okay. That's how I know my prayer was answered, that she was truly liberated, because she came back and returned the favor for me. Not that it wasn't, devastating, or there wasn't sadness. There was all that, but there was these miracles that were happening within all of that emotional intensity. So, really, when she passed, that was one of the biggest teachings for me. One, I realized that I can see things other people can't see. I realized that I can hear spirit talking to me in a way that other people didn't. I realized just on a whole nother level. I mean, I already knew I wasn't normal, but I just realized at a whole nother level that I really wasn't normal. You know how that goes. So working in these realms is something that I've had experiences over time, and I absolutely know it affects the here and now. And as we unravel our blind spots, we become more and more clear, more and more empowered, more and more true to who we actually are. And for me, I started in the old paradigm, so it was quite a journey. It took decades of dedication and training and, really intense work. But now that we're in the new paradigm, it doesn't need to be that way. We can unwind things in just months, what used to take years in the old paradigm, So this is a really beautiful moment for humanity right now. So there is intensity going on, but there is more available to us than ever, ever, ever before. Okay. So that one piece with the agreement thing, that's just one of the many, many things we could be doing. And I'm going to go into a few more things that we could be doing as well. But I want to pause and check in with my dear starshines here, see what they're saying. All right. Wholeness, dear sister. Hello, dear soul schooling. Hello, hello. She's just jumping in. Welcome, welcome. Beliefs and opinion. This is Joanne. Beliefs and opinions have been argued to be right, to the detriment of open discussion and win-win solutions. I see quite clearly how that the national school system is a major culprit in disempowering its citizens. Yes, right. Because we get that indoctrination process that we need to do what we're told, and there's a right way and a wrong way, and there's no openness for something else. Right. Yeah, I agree. And I experienced that in school. But man, I'm telling you, I was a hellion. So if you told me I couldn't do something, that pretty much sealed the deal that I was going to do it. and I was also there in that transition between everything being analog going into digital. So we used to have like school bells where the principal had to hit the bell and then ding, 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 to the tone, the beep that became computer. And so that transition from analog to digital, there was this 4-year gap where teachers and administration were confused, and there were a lot of holes that happened. And what I would do was I noticed those holes right away. I'm like, wow, this teacher doesn't even know I'm supposed to be in this class. So when it came to lunchtime, study hall, or some kind of elective that didn't matter, I just didn't show up from the first day on, and they figured it was a scheduling error, and I went and did whatever I want. I would go into the woods, hang out, smoke cigarettes, do all kinds of stuff. And I remember it wasn't until maybe 2 years into my high school career that the principal got wise to what I was doing and was like, you mean you haven't been in a lunch and study hall in 2 years? and the jig was up and I was caught, and I'm like, no. And he's like, you know how many demerits that is? You know how many detentions that is? And I'm like, I don't really care, dude. I really don't. And they didn't know what to do with it. It was like it was so outside of the box of imaginable of what a student would do. They had no punishment to suit. So I got away with it. They decided not to do anything, and instead they were just going to keep a closer eye on me. So I was definitely challenging the system as much as possible in that. Okay, dear sister says, all right, this is soul schooling. This is fascinating. I'm able to assimilate and then integrate the way you tell these stories. And I am so thankful. Oh, awesome, darling. I'm so happy. I'm so happy this helps you. Every time you guys tell me that how something lands and it really changes things, that really, really lands for me too. So thank you for that. That happened to me the other day when I looked in the mirror. It was trippy and it was pretty cool. Yeah, she's talking about when you look in the mirror and in your eyes and you see many faces that had those eyes. So the kinds of lifetimes you go to when you look in the right eye versus the left eye, check it out, experiment. Excuse me. There's times when layers of who you are coming forward that were really buried. So when you do this as a practice, it's not like the lifetimes that you have that recall of is a static thing. New ones come forward, and there's a point in time where non-human lifetimes will start to come forward. So when you're looking at your eyes, the face will change, and the eyes, you'll recognize them as the same eyes, but they're not human eyes looking back at you. And there's more than a few times when I've looked into the mirror and I saw this completely alien face behind my eyes, and it was it's if it's a trauma drama, or if there's like some if there's some entanglement energy with that lifetime, which is usually why it starts to rise and come forward, it becomes a little unnerving. And it takes a second to being able to stay calm in your rhythms in your body and look into the eyes of that other face too, So it's not like, oh, I got this. It's like, no, you're going into the unknown. You have no idea if you got it until you're there, right? And then sometimes even that is kind of too freaky, and you need to prepare yourself and, do things so you can truly be there. and face the energy that you need to face. And that energy usually is to bring healing and compassion to a wound. That's very often why those pieces come forward in those ways. And so it doesn't matter how dark and ugly that face may be or what kind of trauma it's associated with. When you meet it with acceptance and compassion and recognition that this is a version of you, this is some aspect of you, then you can truly bring deep healing to yourself. And when you heal things in the Akashic field, right, when you heal things here, when I say heal, I mean you untangle the energy so that life force that was held up and entangled in trauma drama is now free and comes back to you. Your life force, your chi is all that much stronger. And the entanglements, the contracts, the agreements, different things that happen due to that entanglement are no longer informing your here and now experience. So this exercise that we're talking about is a tool that you can really take and dive deeply with and bring deep levels of self-healing. All right. Soul schooling saying again, Christina, during my dream time, I have been experiencing myself as a complete opposite of who I am during the waking time. Mother during the day and not mother in dream time. Continued. So does that mean? Yeah. So yeah, let's start diving into some dreamtime stuff, because this is really where the rubber meets the road for a lot of us, how to bring energies or how to connect dreamtime into the creation and the manifestations of this here and now moment, because there is a very deep connection between those, but we're taught that it's something else. And for most humans, our dreamtime is hijacked. When I say our dreamtime is hijacked, it's hijacked in the same way that our awareness and our attention is hijacked. We're constantly getting bombarded with information, and advertising, all that kind of stuff. And with the electronics joining the game, it's like those electronics penetrate, those images, those light images penetrate and stay in our subconscious, stay in our brain, So when we're watching a lot of TV, or we're on the computer a lot, and then we go into our dream time, we go to bed, a lot of the energy of those images and the intentions of those images carry over into our dreamtime realm, and that has our attention more than the voice and the aspects of our spirit in the dreamtime realm. So there's some effort that needs to get put into reclaiming dreamtime, reclaiming your sovereignty and your autonomy on that level. So when you're going into dreamtime, you're truly going into the ocean of your spirit, instead of carrying the distractions of the 3D life into your dream time. You see what I mean? So there's cycles within our dreams. Some are more psychological than others, but ultimately the outer nesting doll holder of your dream time is your spirit, is your higher levels of being. Okay. When we are having a lot of nightmares or a lot of energy going on in our dream time, the tendency maybe is to feel victim to some of this stuff, or go into some of our stories on why this person did me wrong, or why I regret doing this, or, we go into kinds of stories like this. And that's the psychology. That's the stuff in that 4D field. That's the stuff that we inherited from our ancestors, stuff like this. And when we can get past that, the emotional mental charge of the personal story, then we can go into a whole nother level. But it takes a lot of sincere dedication and courage to let go of those stories, because in the letting go of those stories, you're letting go of the energy, you're letting go of the identity. You see, and there's it's scary to let go of identities, because then who are you? Right? Okay. So you peel away some wounds, you let go of some blind spots, and now you don't know who you are. Now what? Right? There's that in the beginning is a very terrifying prospect. The ego driver does not know what to do with that. The ego driver feels extremely disempowered when you're faced with that kind of reality. But you get over it. You get over that. And then next thing you know, you recognize that you have way more freedom inside of yourself. You have much more clarity when you're looking into these other realms in your dream time. It's like all of a sudden miracles are like at your fingertips. Okay. So when you're able to see who you are in opposites, like what soul schooling is talking about, this is, and accept them both as being true, possible, right? Being so, like, Let yourself truly, when I say accept it as being so, I mean being present, letting yourself be present with it without making it wrong. Okay. When you can just be present with it without making it wrong, that's accepting it as being so. And when you can be on opposite sides of the spectrum and see and be present for both sides as being so, now the emotional mental charge and even the constructs that of belief system that created the experience in the first place, you're not trapped by it anymore. You can let yourself move even further beyond it. Okay. So that's actually a milestone within your own being when you're seeing yourself in both those ways. And what happens, and this happens a lot in the academy, is that people start experiencing these reversals where they really had a strong sense, feeling, thought, belief, or, a strong sense of something being one way. Then all of a sudden, in a flash of an eye, that exact same thing, they're experiencing it the opposite of what they thought. So, the people that are in the academy are very sincere and authentic humans, and it's like, and humble, so that kind of reversal, it will have like a shocking response at first, but then it becomes very graceful. And those reversals are really, really useful because now there's no longer an attachment to it being one side or the other. It becomes easier and easier and easier to just let something be so. And quite honestly, once you're in that state, you'll recognize how nothing lasts forever. Nothing stays. Everything is so for a moment, but wait, it's going to change to something else. So that sense of the journey versus the destination or something being stuck, that sense isn't there anymore, because once it's so and you recognize it in an instant, it can be something else. And without you doing anything, it just is. It's here and then it's here. And you're not attached to either way. And so you're not draining any life force energy into the thoughts, the reels, the fear, the confusion. You're not draining any energy into that. You're just, here that is. Oh, look, there it is now. You see? Very different way to engage. Ooh, time is running by so fast. All right, let me finish getting through these because I want to give you guys a couple more pieces of how to work the energies and the dreamscapes to affect your here and now. All right. I recently learned that this possibility playing out because of trying to distract the people in my dream away from my daytime life thoughts. Okay, so, right. So if there's invasions going on in dreams, right, that's because there's invasions going on in your life. Okay, there's energy drains, there's hooks, there's drags, there's feeding tubes, there's all kinds of weird energetic stuff that can happen within the daily life. So like I said, dreams get hijacked, and usually they hijack, how the hijacking happens, it starts off with the physical body in the 3D realm and having decisions making for yourself in the 3D realm about yourself. And that opens you up to be infiltrated while you're in your dream time. Okay. So there's that kind of game. But what you can start doing, especially if there's energies stalking you, because that's a real thing that happens quite often, more than people realize. What you need to do is reclaim your dream time in the sense that you are setting your intention. You're telling your being that only those who truly love you can be in your presence while you're dreaming, while you're sleeping, in the room while you're sleeping, but also while you're dreaming. Okay. And really make that a very clear and strong intention night after night after night. Over time, that will get stronger, 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 and you'll be able to, you'll be able to maintain the sovereignty of your dream time. Because really, all this stuff happens because somewhere we made a choice. Not that it was an informed choice, because that's usually how we get tricked. We get told half the story. And usually that half of the story convinces us that we're a victim, or we're a perpetrator, or, we need to be saving something. And usually, so that's only enough of the story is shared with us to be in one of those pieces. We make a very strong decision, and now we have to deal with the repercussions of what that decision was. Only thing is, we weren't fully informed on the repercussions of that decision, right? So we don't recognize how we actually contributed into dynamics that disempower us. So the more you reclaim, the more you own, retake, and don't waver, don't give yourself away to anything or anybody, right? Then, and you really make that commitment of using dream time to connect with your spirit, to replenish your soul, to, you know what I mean, to feed you and support you, then, you know, that those dreams are going to shift. But remember, those lenses of who we think we are very, very strong. So it'll be absolutely convincing. Until we can truly relax, and be present. And as we're present, as in we're not having thought reactions, we're not having emotional reactions, we're not letting our energy go up or down or left or right or whatever while we're in the presence of the energy of our dream, then those veils start to do this. And then you'll notice that there's rabbit holes within the dream where there's really beautiful, loving energy embracing you. Okay, inundating you, even transmissions from your being for healing, for awakening, for, you know, whatever it is that's relevant, you know. But that veil thing, you know, this is really, really a big piece. It's the piece, really, when it comes to being with the true energy. Hodai says, hopefully that's helpful, Darren, let me know. Hodai says, do you think some of us have self-doubt about our mission or purpose because others push the grandiose idea of what that means? Absolutely. We make a big deal out of it, but really it's so simple. Why we're here is so simple. Can one mission be to just hold space among the collective? Sure. There's all sorts of purposes. And those purposes don't necessarily look like spiritual purposes, yet that is the purpose. I have a beautiful story here. This is a story shared with me by Jazz Muheen. She is a woman who's really spearheaded the pranic nourishment movement for the West. In the East, it's known as the art of Piku, which is the art of cultivating your energy in such a way where you no longer need to take in physical nourishment. Okay. Now, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, we call that being a breatharian, but it's way more than that. That's like too general, too truncated. I still use breatharian because that's a term that's recognized. But anyway, so I did dark room retreats with Dear Jazz, and she's a beautiful, beautiful human. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of different types of people that seek her advice, seek her insight, especially during dark room, because you're dealing with some of your deepest demons when you're doing that. And this is, 9 days and nights in total darkness with only food, with only water. If you choose that, there's some people that do dry fasting during that time. And one of the dilemmas, and when we get together in the meditation group, in the conversation and dispensation portion of the day, well, we think it's during the day. We don't know because there's no light. But there's really beautiful, beautiful questions because you're with a group of people of 20 to 40 people who are meditating hours on end in total darkness. And we're walking, by the time we get to the third, fourth day, we are walking in dream time 24/7 because all that melatonin in our brains is no longer being turned to serotonin. Instead, it's being turned into DMT. So it is full on dream time while you're awake and asleep. It's really, really a beautiful experience. But, our deepest angsts come out during those times for us to heal and work with. And one of them was a woman's beautiful, beautiful spiritual woman. She was on her path. She really felt drawn to be a person that lives from prana instead of food. Her husband was a wealthy man, but he wasn't spiritual at all. He loved her. She loved him. But all he really wanted was to, enjoy life and have great sex. Okay. So their connection was more of like a tantric, ecstatic, sexual connection. And she was feeling, is this right? Should I really be with him because he's not spiritual and stuff like this? Now we're in full on dream time. So whatever it is that wherever you look and whatever you wonder about in that state, it comes to you. It's like this infinite Rolodex. And you just contemplate it and truly in your heart want to know. And, it comes. You just need to be willing to look at it to really be willing to see it. So Dear Jazz, she just laughs and And she says, "Oh, darling," in the way that she does. And she explained that her husband has lived the spiritual path. He has many, many lifetimes of being a spiritual master, many lifetimes of being a celibate monk, many lifetimes of diving deep into the mysteries of being an infinite, of finding yourself as an infinite being in a human's biosuit. Okay. And in this lifetime, he just wanted to do something different. So in this lifetime, he wanted to experience all those things that he didn't experience during those other lifetimes, which is being wealthy and having great sex. Now, that story really meant a lot to me because it helped me recognize that no matter how asleep we think people are, they are still master beings having the experiences that they're here to have. So, darling, whatever it is that gives you joy, that you love to do, that awakens your passion, like makes you excited to wake up every day to face the world, do it. That is part of your purpose. Yeah. If it's to wake up and sing to your flowers and talk to the fairies and grow things and share that with people, do that. It's so simple. If we let our lives be that simple, there wouldn't be so much confusion going on. But unfortunately, that grandiose plan, that a projection that we're fed by certain, light worker spiritual ideas, that really undermines us. It undermines our ego driver. On a spirit level, whatever we're here for, that's what we're going to have. But it's our ego driver that makes it a suffering path versus a path of joy. Our ego driver in resistance brings us a lot of suffering and dissatisfaction. But when we are really letting our ego driver be in alignment with what our spirit is doing and calling to us, then that's when it starts to turn into a path of joy, a path of miracles, a path of peace and contentment. But this is why the new paradigm is so important in this transition time, because the soul purposes that were unfolding in the old paradigm, that's not the spirits, the souls that are coming now to this planet. The spirits that are coming now to this planet, the souls have a different agenda. That is what's bringing this new paradigm. It's not that humanity is waking up and they're going to, now honor each other and live in harmony with because their ego drivers decide, or because those constructs decided. No. Remember, this outer nesting doll is the one that's deciding. This actual soul group agendas have changed. That's why so many of us have transcended our soul groups. And the reason why we came here, some people came in soul groups that were enslaved. They woke up out of that. Some of us came in a vein of warriorship. We woke up out of that, and now we have a different purpose. And as you wake up to that different purpose and integrate and unify within yourself more and more and more and more, that's going to keep shifting and changing and bringing different experiences forward to you. As long as our ego driver is making these experiences wrong, then it's not going to be a fun journey. When we can accept and be with what is, then that journey is going to shift. That's not to say that, people don't have suffering anymore, because they do, and they are, but it's not like to the scope of how it was in the old paradigm. Okay. The lens that the souls are coming through is different than what it has been in the past. And we are the lucky beings that get to be witness and be a part of that. Really, we're so lucky to be here and get to experience it. And my sense is that only the wisest, the most tenacious of beings are here during this transition time, because it's a very special moment, and it's like a gift given to us because we are the ones that can hold this space. We're the ones that can go through it, Thank you for that. Hopefully that's helpful, darling. All right. Dear Sister Joanne says, Google Dr. Hugh Len. I Helakala and Ho'oponopo to see how and accepting what is within and forgiving what is not. Pono / righteous. Okay, so forgiving what is not pono or righteous, aligned. Allow what is there to be healed and without. Okay, thank you for that, Joanne. Ho'oponopono, just the word. It's a really powerful word. The vibration of it, and it's because it's been held for so long within a lineage. Oh yeah, so don't get me wrong, lineages do have their role, and so do mystery schools, okay? But I'm saying it's not a necessity nowadays. That's the really my point in what I was saying earlier. Each week's chat is awesome. Oh, okay. Dear Sister Joanne says, each week's chat weaves the information more beautifully and intricately, adding more and more to the discovery of self as cosmic being. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, darling, for that. Dear Sister Soul School says, thank you, Christina. You get a lot of notes jotted down. Thank you, darling, for that. Okay, yeah, I need to start wrapping up here. I really wanted to give you those two other pieces. I'll read these last two, and then I'm at least get one more piece out here, so you guys have something that you could be practicing and doing in shifting the realities. Soul School says, I know that I felt like I wasn't protected as a child, so I have a strong story playing out to be protective of my children. And because I can see what others can't, I'm super protective of my kids during dreams. Yes. Yeah. So true. And your kids have called you in as their mom because you do that. You see what I mean? It's all perfectly together. Hodai, I discovered that sometimes in dream time, I thought a certain person kept showing up as an attachment, but in fact, it was an archetype, a placeholder. Very good. Cosmic One says, thank you. Glad I caught you live today. Welcome, Cosmic One. Awesome. So let me get to those. Let me get to the pieces, and I have to go. Just so you guys know, this is a major transition time in my life. We're selling the house, and we're moving into an RV, and we're going to be driving around the country for the next year. So as I do that, I'm going to put some invitations out to the group here and there when I'm going to be in certain places in the country. Like maybe we can get together, do an event, or have a talk, or maybe you can invite me over into your community of people and we can do an activation, play with some planetary stuff, do the things that I love to do, and meet some of you guys in person, because I love to meet you guys. I mean, I met Hodai. We had a wonderful dinner together. Dear Joanne, I see her a lot, even though we haven't met physically. So I love to, just to deepen these connections, because you guys are all very special beings. And I feel like, the more we know, personally, each other, the stronger and more supportive, the more support we can offer each other. So keep an eye out for that as that evolves. I happen to, Spirit put us in a place that is location, right? So the sense is that our place is going to sell very quickly, probably this weekend. Okay, back to the last piece for what you guys can do to work in these other realms. So I talked about how to really bring agreement to full circle, multidimensionals agreement, contracts full circle, like that. The other thing that we could be doing is working with encodements. Now, encodements could be, people might call them downloads, but what's special about an encodement is that it works on that light body level. So we have our galactic mind, we have the all that is, we have our soul song, the stellar networks, and then we have this level right here. This is the light body level. This light body, remember, is formed by the tone of your being. So you separate it out of source as a tone. That tone continued to travel, become more dense through the dimensions, and started to create a shape. That shape, the tone created, is your light body, is your blueprint. And within that blueprint, it has all the different experiences you're going to have unfold within the Milky Way galaxy and beyond, but we'll keep it simple, Milky Way galaxy. So that means all the potentials, all the way you're going to heal, all the ways you're going to die, all the challenges, all the successes, everything is contained within that blueprint, because that blueprint is actually what creates the pathways of the different life streams, incarnational experiences that you have. So when you are in your dream time, what you can do is set the stage in such a way for you to call forward and be a receptacle for encodements that actually shift your light body, that actually shift that blueprint. Okay? The kinds of things that you can change with those encodements are so profound. I can't even explain it in a single experience here. I have to actually just facilitate the experiences for you, and it needs to happen multiple times for it to really sink in, because it's so deep and profound. But I'll summarize here. So what happens is, like, say, I'll take the Orion Wars as an example. There is a very large group of soul beings that have dramas that live on this planet, incarnating on this planet. Some of them are staying in spirit, but they're incarnating. They have lots of records and dramas experienced during the Orion Wars. Okay, and this is expressed in our everyday human life by our struggle that we have with AI. We have a lot of people who are excited about AI, and a lot of people are horrified by the idea. Okay, now this is that dynamic was born from that Orion construct. Okay, that experience was in your light body. So you can connect with beings in such a way, and those of you who work with Sasquatch know this, you can connect with beings in such a way where they can bring forward, they can hold the nesting doll space necessary. They'll actually bridge the transmission from the oneness of who you are and gift you encodements that will rearrange that light body so the drama, the event of the Orion War never occurred in your life stream. That means you no longer have drama or records that connect you with the Orion conflict. Okay, this was an interdimensional war that was fought, and it was all about organic versus synthetic, evolving the spirit through technology or evolving the spirit through natural means. Okay, so you can see the underlying theme here. Now, you have to prepare yourself as a vehicle in order to be the frequency match for that kind of encodement to come forward. The kinds of things that you do every night before you go to bed is prepare yourself. Number one, stay completely unplugged from all technology at least a half hour, if not more, before and after waking. So before you go to bed and after waking up, do not get on your phone, do not get on electronics. You're keeping your field away from that influence, okay? Because it all comes in and sticks, and influences the holograms within the mind. So you do that. And then you take that a step forward. You tune in into the alternate realms before you go to bed. What do I mean by that? I mean meditating. I mean taking a sacred bath, going into the realm of the mystical before you even make it into bed for dream time. And while you're doing that with your meditation and preparing, going into those mystical realms, accessing those fields, you are setting the intention. You're setting the intention to receive, to tune in and connect with these other levels of your being, because it's time. You're ready. Okay, which means you are going to be committed. You are committed to allowing that encodement to come in and change you the way it needs to change you for it to come alive. Okay, so there's that kind of thing. The other kind of thing is working with the creative process, committing yourself a certain level of your bandwidth to a creation process. That creation process could be art, it could be music, it could be poetry, it could be whatever. Doesn't matter, whatever. You commit yourself to a creative process. And when you're doing that, you are actually flushing out the energies that are that are in that morphic field, and you're flushing them out, giving them more and more shape, more and more form, more and more refinement, until eventually it comes into being. And when you do that with something that's connected with an encodement, you are quite literally digesting the encodement, plowing away the blocks in your subconscious and your conscious mind that allow it to proliferate. And then as you do that, it's like giving the plant a perfect circumstances for it to grow. That encodement will open and bloom and begin informing you from the inside out. Now, as you change things on the inside, it changes on the outside, absolutely. So this technique that I'm leaving in general, so there's lots of wiggle room here for your own imagination and your own inclinations, but this is the golden piece for those transmissions, for bringing them forward. But it takes a huge amount of respect for dream time, a huge amount of respect for the unseen, okay, and for yourself as a sovereign, multidimensional being. If there's still a lot of programs going on inside about how you're not good enough, or how you can't do this, you can't do that, or maybe there's even some sinner programming going on, all that has to get cleaned up. All that needs to get addressed before you can really receive these encodements and let them grow within you. You can enlist the elemental realm to assist you in growing these encodements. You can sit with fire and connect with the energy of fire and bring the fire in to feed the encodements. You can connect with water and the spirit of water and let water come in and feed the encodements. Everything about the natural world is at your disposal to work with in order to feed and bring forward these encodements. And as you're feeding the encodements, you're also clearing the way for them to grow, which means you're dealing with the stuff that comes up, the wounding that comes up within you. Those limitation programs, those belief things that we've inherited from our ancestors and also cultivated through our soul's journey have a very significant influence in our here and now. And that we need to be willing to let that clear away. We need to be willing to forgive and let go. We need to be willing to liberate those that we've once held in a pattern of causing harm. You know what I mean? So as you liberate all that, these encodements grow and you quite literally change your path. You change the blueprint of what you're unfolding in the here and now. And it will quite literally it'll change your relationship to the cosmos, to the galactic mind and beyond. It's really a beautiful, graceful process. And it requires commitment. And the folks that are in the Dreamtime Healing Project, but also in the Academy, they have that commitment, and we hit it. We don't let off. We just keep going and going and going and going. If it didn't work this time, it's going to work next time. You know what I mean? We just keep holding space for each other and keep showing up. And in that consistent showing up, once the unraveling really gets momentum, it starts just happening. And it's not a lot. You're not doing a lot other than just showing up and letting it happen. And that's the beauty and grace of this whole thing, is that the shift, it just is so. It doesn't matter about human constructs or belief systems. It just matters. It just, matters on how we navigate. The amount of suffering that we have to go through is what we have to go through, but it's not stopping what's happening. You see what I mean? So this new paradigm shift is an absolute deal. It's a done deal. It's on this outer nesting doll level. Right. And even we feel it more on these other levels too. So there's no stopping it. It might get held up and stalled out, and we have to work out all the stuff in that collective. But that's this one little layer of a nesting doll of all of this. All right, darlings. Thank you for hanging out. I know I went over, but hopefully this was helpful. Please let me know. And if there's any follow-up questions to this, definitely reach out, put them in the chats, or just bring them into the group, and I'll answer them as I'm available. We are driving. I'm leaving in 45 minutes to drive across the country. So I will be on the East Coast in a couple days. So because we're picking up our travel trailer. And so I'll be checking in while I'm on the road. Thank you again, everybody. Hello, I got a hello, someone dropping in at the end here. Hello and goodbye, darling. Take good care, guys. We'll see you next time. Mwah, mwah. Love you.